There's a reason muscle disappears after 60, and it's not aging. Most seniors never notice it happening until strength and balance are already fading. The real cause is one essential food quietly removed from the diet. Fixing this single mistake could change how strong and steady you feel in just weeks. Muscle loss is often treated as an unavoidable part of getting older. Many seniors are told that weakness, shrinking strength, and slower movement are simply the price of time. But biologically, that story does not hold up. Muscles do not disappear on their own. They respond to signals, nutrients, and use. When those signals weaken, muscle tissue follows. Inside the body, muscle is constantly being rebuilt. Old muscle proteins are broken down and replaced with new ones every day. This process is called muscle protein turnover. In younger adults, rebuilding easily keeps up with breakdown. With age, the process becomes less efficient, but it does not stop. What changes most is how strongly muscles respond to food. As we age, muscles become less sensitive to dietary protein. This is known as anabolic resistance. It means the body needs a clearer, stronger nutritional signal to trigger muscle repair. When that signal is weak or missing, muscle breakdown slowly wins. Over time, this leads to smaller muscles, reduced strength, and less stability. Here is where the misunderstanding begins. Many people assume the problem is age itself, when in reality it is the lack of the right building blocks. Muscles cannot rebuild without specific nutrients. When those nutrients are skipped regularly, the body adapts by conserving energy. Muscle tissue, which is metabolically expensive, becomes one of the first things the body lets go. This is why muscle loss often accelerates quietly. It does not happen overnight. It happens gradually through small daily gaps in nutrition. Skipped meals, light portions, foods avoided because they seem unnecessary or hard to digest. Over months and years, those gaps add up. The consequences reach far beyond appearance. Muscle is essential for balance, posture, glucose control, and joint protection. Less muscle means more strain on joints, slower reaction times, and higher risk of falls. It also means less energy because muscle plays a key role in regulating metabolism. The good news is that muscle loss is not fixed. Even later in life, muscles respond when they are given the right signal. The body does not need extreme workouts or rigid diets. It needs consistency and the nutrients it recognizes as a reason to rebuild. Understanding this changes everything. Aging does not automatically steal strength. Skipping key nutritional signals does. Once that is corrected, the body remembers how to hold on to muscle again. Many seniors do not intentionally remove an important muscle supporting food from their diet. It usually fades out slowly. Portions get smaller. Meals become simpler. Convenience starts to matter more than composition. Over time, one particular food that once played a central role quietly disappears. This food is often reduced because of appetite changes. As people age, hunger signals become less reliable. Meals that once felt satisfying now feel heavy or unnecessary. When appetite drops, people naturally prioritize foods that feel light or easy, even if those foods lack the nutrients muscles depend on. Another reason this food is skipped is digestion. Many seniors believe they no longer tolerate it well. They may notice bloating, discomfort, or a feeling of fullness afterward. Rather than adjusting how or when they eat it, they remove it altogether. What feels like a digestive decision slowly becomes a muscular one. There is also a cultural shift that happens with aging. Some seniors believe they no longer need certain foods because they are less active. This logic seems reasonable on the surface. If movement slows down, food intake should shrink. But muscle does not work that way. In fact, less movement means nutrition becomes more important, not less. This food is also frequently misunderstood. It is often labeled as optional, indulgent, or unnecessary later in life. Some people associate it with weight gain or cholesterol concerns without realizing that the body processes it differently when it comes to muscle maintenance. Avoiding it may feel like a healthy choice, while the body quietly pays the price. Social factors play a role as well. Cooking for one leads to simpler meals. Eating alone reduces motivation to prepare balanced plates. Over time, meals become repetitive and nutritionally thin. The food that requires intention or preparation is usually the first to go. The result is not immediate weakness. Instead, the body adapts by lowering its Expectations. Muscles receive fewer rebuilding signals. Strength declines subtly. Standing up feels harder. Carrying groceries feels heavier. Balance feels less stable, but it is easy to blame age rather than diet. The truth is that most seniors do not lose muscle because they cannot rebuild it. They lose muscle because the signal to rebuild is missing. That signal often comes from one specific food that the body still recognizes, even decades later. When it disappears from the diet, muscles quietly begin to fade with it. When this food is missing from the diet, the effects begin deep inside the body, long before weakness is obvious. Muscles rely on regular nutritional signals to know when to repair and rebuild. Without those signals, the body shifts into a conservation mode that favors survival over strength. At the cellular level, muscle tissue depends on amino acids to trigger protein synthesis. These amino acids act like messengers. When enough of them arrive together, the muscle receives a clear instruction to rebuild. When they arrive in small amounts or not at all, that instruction is weak or absent. The muscle does not get repaired at the same rate it breaks down. Over time, muscle protein breakdown continues as part of normal metabolism, but rebuilding slows. This imbalance is subtle at first. No pain, no sudden loss of function, just a gradual thinning of muscle fibers. The body adapts by becoming more efficient with less muscle, but that efficiency comes at a cost. Hormones are affected as well. Muscle tissue plays a role in regulating insulin sensitivity and inflammation. As muscle mass declines, blood sugar control becomes less stable. The body compensates by releasing more insulin, which can further interfere with muscle repair. Inflammation increases slightly, creating an internal environment that discourages rebuilding. The nervous system also becomes involved. Strong muscles send feedback signals that help maintain coordination and balance. As muscle fibers shrink, those signals weaken. Reaction time slows. Stability becomes less reliable. This is why muscle loss often shows up as clumsiness or hesitation rather than pure weakness. Energy levels change too. Muscle is metabolically active tissue. It helps regulate how the body uses fuel. When muscle mass decreases, the body burns fewer calories at rest. Fat storage becomes easier. Energy feels lower, even without changes in activity. Perhaps most importantly, the body becomes accustomed to this lower baseline. Once muscle loss progresses far enough, rebuilding requires more effort and consistency. This is why early nutritional gaps have long-term consequences. What starts as skipping a single food gradually reshapes how the body functions. None of this happens because the body is failing. It happens because the body is adapting to what it receives. When a key rebuilding food is missing, muscles interpret that absence as a signal to downsize. Understanding this internal process is essential because restoring the signal can restart the rebuilding cycle, even later in life. Muscle loss rarely announces itself as a muscle problem. For most seniors, it shows up in everyday moments that seem unrelated at first. Standing up from a chair takes more effort. Walking feels slower and less confident. Fatigue appears earlier in the day. These changes are often dismissed as normal aging, but they are closely tied to declining muscle mass. Balance is one of the first abilities affected. Muscles play a crucial role in keeping the body upright and responsive. When muscle fibers shrink, the body has fewer resources to correct small shifts in posture. This makes stumbles more likely and recovery slower. A minor misstep that once would have been corrected easily now becomes a near fall or an actual fall. Energy levels change as well. Muscle acts as a metabolic engine. It helps regulate how efficiently the body uses fuel. With less muscle, energy production becomes less stable. This often feels like persistent tiredness rather than exhaustion. Seniors may begin avoiding activities simply because they feel draining, not because they are impossible. Independence is affected in subtle ways. Tasks like carrying groceries, opening jars, climbing stairs, or maintaining posture while standing in line require more effort. When these tasks become difficult, people naturally start modifying their routines. They sit more, they move less. This reduction in movement further accelerates muscle loss, creating a cycle that is hard to break. Muscle loss also impacts joint health. Strong muscles absorb shock and stabilize joints. When muscle support weakens, joints bear more stress. This can lead to discomfort in the knees, hips, and lower back. Pain then discourages movement, which further reduces muscle stimulation and nutritional demand. There is also a psychological effect. Feeling physically uncertain changes behavior. Confidence in movement declines. Seniors may hesitate in unfamiliar environments or avoid activities they once enjoyed. This loss of confidence is often mistaken for fear or aging when it is rooted in physical instability. These changes do not happen suddenly. They accumulate quietly, often over years. By the time muscle loss is recognized, its effects have already reshaped daily life. Understanding this connection is important because restoring muscle strength improves more than appearance or power. It improves balance, energy, and independence. Addressing the nutritional cause behind muscle loss can reverse many of these everyday limitations and restore confidence in movement again. Reintroducing this food does not require dramatic changes or large portions. In fact, the body responds better to consistency than to excess. The goal is to send a clear rebuilding signal without overwhelming digestion or appetite. Start with timing. Muscles are most responsive to nutrition earlier in the day and after movement. This does not mean intense exercise. A walk, light chores, or simple stretching is enough to make muscle tissue more receptive. Adding this food to breakfast or lunch often produces better results than saving it for a heavy evening meal. Portion size matters less than quality and frequency. Many seniors believe they must eat large servings to benefit, which can feel uncomfortable. Smaller portions spread across the day are often more effective. This reduces digestive strain while maintaining steady availability of the nutrients muscles need. Preparation also plays a role. Cooking methods can make this food easier to tolerate. Softer textures, moist cooking, and pairing it with familiar foods improves comfort and absorption. The goal is not to force the body, but to support it. When digestion feels calm, consistency becomes possible. Hydration should not be overlooked. Digestion and nutrient transport rely on adequate fluids. Even mild dehydration can make meals feel heavier than they need to be. Drinking water regularly throughout the day helps the body process food more efficiently and reduces discomfort. Some seniors worry about appetite loss when adding this food back. Paradoxically, adequate nutrition often improves appetite over time. When the body receives what it needs, hunger signals become more balanced. Meals feel satisfying rather than draining. It is also important to remove unnecessary fear. Many outdated beliefs cause seniors to avoid certain foods based on cholesterol or weight concerns. Modern understanding shows that muscle-supporting nutrition plays a protective role for metabolism, joints, and balance. Avoiding it, often, creates more problems than it prevents. Progress should be measured by how the body feels, not by the scale. Improved energy, better stability, and easier movement are early signs that the body is responding. Strength returns gradually. There is no sudden transformation. Instead, small daily improvements accumulate quietly. Rebuilding muscle at any age is not about pushing limits. It is about restoring signals the body recognizes. When this food is reintroduced thoughtfully and consistently, muscles respond with renewed strength and stability. The process is gentle, sustainable, and surprisingly effective when done with patience and understanding. Rebuilding muscle does not require extreme diets or punishing exercise routines. The body responds best to simple, repeatable signals. When nutrition is consistent and movement is gentle but regular, muscle tissue adapts in a way that feels natural rather than forced. Many seniors believe that strength can only be regained through heavy weights or long workouts. In reality, muscles care more about stimulation than intensity. Everyday movements like standing up from a chair, walking, carrying light objects, or rising onto the toes send powerful signals to muscle fibers when the right nutrients are available. These actions remind the body that muscle is still needed. Nutrition provides the instruction, movement provides the reason. When both are present, rebuilding begins. Muscles do not need to grow large to be effective. Even modest increases in muscle size and quality improve balance, coordination, and endurance. This is why small changes often produce meaningful results. Rest also matters. Muscle repair happens during recovery, not during activity. Adequate sleep and consistent meal timing allow the body to use nutrients efficiently. When rest is poor, rebuilding slows regardless of effort. Supporting recovery is just as important as movement itself. Patience is essential. Muscle returns gradually. Strength improvements often appear before visible changes. Walking feels steadier. Stairs feel less demanding. Fatigue decreases. These signs mean the body is responding, even if progress feels subtle. The most powerful part of this process is sustainability. Extreme approaches fail because they are difficult to maintain. Simple habits succeed because they fit into daily life. A reliable food choice, gentle movement, consistent timing. These are signals the body understands and respects. Muscle loss is not an inevitable part of aging. It is often the result of missing signals that the body needs to maintain strength. When those signals are restored through proper nutrition and manageable movement, the body responds at any age. Strength supports balance. Balance supports independence. Independence supports confidence. Small changes create lasting outcomes. If this information helped you see muscle loss differently, stay connected. Learn how the body works with you, not against you. Strength is not gone. It is waiting for the right signal to return.